Purple Alien OG, Sour Diesel, Chiba Chews. These were just some of the names and terms a group of Massachusetts senators were introduced to last week when they visited Colorado to find out more about how the legalization of recreational marijuana is working there and might work here. They visited dispensaries, talked to law enforcement officials, public health experts, and others to prepare themselves for some of the issues that could come up if Massachusetts voters say yes to legalization this November. Colorado is one of 4 states, plus D.C., in which it's legal to buy marijuana. The others are Alaska, Oregon, and Washington. Rhode Island and Vermont are looking at legislative measures to legalize. And Massachusetts is one of 6 states where voters are likely to decide the issue later this year. Joining me now are 2 members of that state legislative fact-finding group. Senator Michael Rodrigues is a Democrat from Westport. It's good to see you, Senator.
Thank
Senator
you.
Jason Lewis is a Democrat from Winchester and the chair of the Special Committee on Marijuana. And for a while, you were the only person on the committee, but that changed. So there were 8 of you. I know that there'll be a formal report in February, but we're here in January. Give me, starting with you, Senator, the main plus and the main minus that you took away from your trip to Colorado about legalization.
Sure. So it was an eye-opening trip. We met, as you said, with a wide range of people. I think the pluses are that for those adults who want to consume marijuana responsibly, this opens the door to do that. They don't have to get it from on the black market from a drug dealer. Also, there has been some job creation and some economic development. They estimate about 20,000 jobs have been created statewide. So those are some pluses. On the other side of the ledger, it's been very challenging to implement. There have been issues they've had to deal with the range of products. So we have marijuana-infused edibles, beverages. People are not just smoking marijuana anymore. So issues around marketing restrictions, product labeling, driving under the influence. There's been a lot of different challenges, banking issues, because a lot of it's done in cash. So those are things that the state has been wrestling with. They've made some progress, but there's still some challenges there.
How about a plus and a minus from you, Senator?
I think Senator Lewis hit the plus as far as those that do want to responsibly engage in smoking marijuana or using marijuana. Now there's a path for that. But the minus is everything he articulated. I think what blows my mind is the fact that this industry, which is over $1 billion, is all in cash. That they are not allowed to use any banking. No credit cards. They can't deposit their cash in the bank. They can't go to a bank for a business improvement loan. That it's all done in cash, and that leads to, all kind of activity.
And you told me today none of the 8 of you allegedly try, and that's true. Why didn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, it's legal there, and why not?
I have no desire.
You ever done it before?
Been there? Oh yeah.
Have you done it before?
I have when I was in college, but on this trip we wanted to be clear-headed and focus on fact-finding and research, so we didn't think it was appropriate.
Did you go in with a bias? Do you have a position on this?
I went in with a bias, probably be more leaning to support the measure rather than oppose, and my position was, convince me why this isn't a good idea for a responsible adult that wants to use marijuana, not to use marijuana. And after 4 days in Denver, I was convinced why it's not a good idea.
So are you a no now?
I'm a no.
You're a no, based upon your trip.
Based upon my trip.
What was the single most important element that caused you to do the flip, or the switch, let's call it?
Probably the ability to take the THC out of traditional marijuana, to extract it, to concentrate it, and to infuse it in edibles and candy and cookies. Just the potency and the level of potency in the marijuana.
But even if let's assume everything you say is right, Senator, it's not as if people aren't using it already. The issue is not should the people in Massachusetts use marijuana.
Right.
The issue is should it be legal, should it be regulated, should it be safer, and should it be taxed? So how does that experience affect any of those questions?
Well, the experience is that, first of all, it will be regulated. Legal marijuana will be regulated, but the underground market continues to thrive and prosper in Colorado and everywhere it is illegal, because the price point is always just below the regulated market. So there's always going to be a market for illegal marijuana, and there's plenty of distribution sites already out there. And the amount of tax revenue, especially as proposed in Massachusetts, where it's 3.75% excise tax, if it's $1 billion industry, that's $37.5 million for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. That doesn't come close to covering.
Well, they raised more than $70 million in the first year, but you say their administrative costs. Did you go in with a bias?
I have had no public position on the ballot question or on legalization, because as the chair of the committee, I think it's important we take an objective view to the work that we're doing.
But you did vote against medical marijuana.
I did when it was on the ballot, yes. And I do anticipate taking a position on this later after the committee finishes finishes its work.
Let me ask the most tired question you've heard probably only 10,000 times. If your position is we shouldn't legalize this, I assume you're going to be consistent and file a bill to outlaw the use of alcohol, because everything I've read over the years, it's more dangerous driving, it leads to more disease issues, it leads to more violence, and if it's a more dangerous drug than that which you're going to vote against legalizing, are you going to move to criminalize the use of alcohol or vote for prohibition?
I think we tried that once before and it didn't work, and two wrongs don't make a right.
But isn't that what you're doing? Isn't prohibition what you're doing with marijuana? Because people are using it anyway.
We're preventing the legalization. We're not prohibiting something that's already legal. There's a difference.
You know, one of the things I read that I was sort of surprised at the and I appreciate your candor up front, because most legislators wouldn't say this. You and the Speaker of the House, Speaker DeLeo, said if this thing is passed, and I'm paraphrasing, by the voters, there are a bunch of holes in here that we will fix. We'll amend that. Yeah. There's nothing that voters like hearing less than we're going to vote on something, and if we approve it, you people are going to say, well, you didn't quite get it right. We know better. We're going to get it right for you. Isn't that a little disrespectful to the voters to say in advance, we're going to change it even if you embrace it?
Well, I think there's no question we will respect the will of the voters. So I don't think if the voters were to approve the ballot, I don't think there's any question the legislature would seek to repeal that. But there are the ballot question is 40 pages long. It's very complicated. You have to be a lawyer to really read and understand it. So I think it's possible, or at least it would be worth considering having the legislature take that up, debate elements in the ballot question which are silent. For example, the ballot question says nothing about advertising and marketing restrictions that we would place.
And you guys are worried about
businesses.
Kids, about virtually everybody's worried
kids,
about kids.
Access to access to kids. The ballot question
by the
is
way,
silent
under the ballot
on
question, same rules as alcohol. Technically, if you're under 21, you can't buy it.
Right. It does say that. But you know, when we were talking about legalizing and compared to alcohol or tobacco, the big thing to keep in mind is when you legalize an industry, you commercialize it. So now you have businesses. They're going to be profit-seeking businesses. Sure. They're looking to gain new customers. They're looking to expand the usage of their current customers. They want to market. They want to advertise. They want to promote. So all of those issues, the ballot question is pretty silent on. So I think there'll be things we'll want to address, and then there may be where the ballot question is silent, and there may be other issues that we feel, we want to at least have a debate in the legislature.
Last 15 seconds, if I can. Is history going to repeat itself? Virtually everybody on Beacon Hill, law enforcement, opposed decriminalization. It passed 2-1. Virtually the whole political infrastructure and law enforcement opposed medical marijuana. It passed 2-1. Are we not going to have the same thing again? The legislature takes a walk and the people take the lead. Is that not what's going to happen in November?
I would think that's probably. I would be willing to bet that's what's going to happen in November.
You're an honest man.
Yes.
Nice to see you, Senator.
Yeah,
Senator,
very good.
to see you.
Thank
I hope
you.
we'll
Thank you.
continue the
Good to be with
discussion.
you.
We'll look forward to your report.